topic that involves you as a parent, a teacher, a person in church that is leading the youth, and all that. Now, our topic today is how boys handle friendships as contrasted with the girls. Yeah, so I welcome Milo here. Tell us something about this.
Hi there, my name is Mary. So, welcome to our today's talk. So, in this episode, we are going to talk about the difference on how boys and girls view friendship. So, I'll start by talking about the first one. So, there is a difference. When you look at girls, their friendship is usually based on interdependence, like they depend on each other. So, if you look around, and especially if you have interacted with teenagers for a very long time, you'll realize that girls depend on each other for support. So this support is what makes the friendship to be very strong, or if you want, you can call it the glue. Like for example, if something happens to one girl, you'll find that the whole group is affected by the happening, and they'll be so much concerned. They want to know what is happening to their friend, what kind of support that they can offer. It is like it is them that are being affected. But when you look at the boys, when it comes to such, because they are kind of not warm, if I can use that word. So boys are not warm when it comes to friendship, and you find that most of them are very dependent, like they depend on themselves. They'll not express the challenges that they are facing, they'll not open up, and therefore you'll realize that sometimes they have a lot of issues, but they have bottled up the issues, and their friends don't know what is happening around them, and therefore they don't know how to support them. And on the other hand, sometimes they may know that one of them is undergoing a challenge, but it will be very hard for them to come out and support them, and especially verbally. It is so hard for boys to express them. I don't know whether they don't have emotions, or
It's
what is
nature.
the problem, or
Possibly it's just nature, you know.
uh-huh.
That this is something that began during the Adam and Eve's time, and therefore girls will tend to share, while boys will just reserve. And if you know it, you know about them, and if you don't know them, they don't have time to either share or want to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is so interesting, and that is where you'll find that when we look at cases of suicide, it is very common in boys and men in general. And the reason is because they don't want to open up, and therefore the others don't know how to help them. Yeah, that's basically what I can say.
Oh yeah. Now there is another difference in how the depth of friendship. When you look at the girls, they have intimacy, a higher level of intimacy, a deeper sort of sharing that you find sometimes they can share even what you don't expect. Like clothes, they borrow from each other. Sometimes they even borrow bags and what have you. Even whatever somebody eats, they'll have to borrow from the other. Now look at the cases where the youth are in school, and one of them is missing maybe the escort during break time. If they have a close friend, they'll easily give them. If they don't have clothes to go out with, then you realize that somebody will carry even two pairs so that they can share with their friends. They'll share a lot of information. They can tell each other what kind of boyfriends they have, what kind of mothers, maybe the family, the father, and all that. So they'll share. And you realize that if somebody is very close to you, then they know a lot about you. As you have said earlier, they are verbal. So they tend to talk about themselves from A to Z. And therefore, that's why you see a lot of sleepovers among girls. Now, contrary to the boys really can be friends, but you may not know a lot about your friend. You may not even know the girlfriend. That's why you find sometimes they seduce the same girls, and they'll not even know, because they don't find a reason to share. And if somebody doesn't have a handkerchief, you might just find them using maybe their own clothes or something. Yeah. And the only time you'll find them sharing is when they go for football or games and such things. But when it comes to sharing, that is information or things, they really have that limitation. Yeah.
And probably if I can add on that, so in fact not an addition, I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
do girls find it so easy to share the challenges they experience because they don't have shame? And then when you look at the counterpart, the boys, they feel kinda ashamed, like, and that is why they decide to bottle up. Like they cannot borrow, a piece of bread from their friend. They cannot ask for a shirt, a sweater. So I don't know whether it is because of shame.
I believe it's how the society brings them up, because I see when we were kids, there is a difference in how our parents brought us up as girls and how they brought up the boys. So you'll find your father telling the boy, just take that tea. Why should you want something to accompany that? Why are you talking so much? Why are you doing this? So they are limited because of the patriarchal society, and so they tend to limit what to do or what to share or what to even talk about. But girls, most times they say, achia hiyo kina mama, that's for women. So the girls learn from childhood that this is how to be a woman.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's the issue of the ego. The man's ego is usually, we can say, bloated a lot. They have been fed so much, there is like a societal expectation for them. So you find that there are some things that they cannot do because they are going to feel inferior. Starting from what you're talking about, asking for help. Sometimes they feel like, they are not men enough when they ask for help, even for things that are really, putting them down. They'd rather do it themselves than, go out and ask for help. And also they feel like when they're sharing, you're telling somebody your weaknesses. They want to project this strong person who can do everything by themselves. So it's very difficult for them to talk about their weaknesses, their failures, their shortcomings, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting.
And then again, another challenge I think they have is when it comes to conflict resolution. Now, like we've already said, girls are very verbal. When you talk about verbal, we mean that they talk a lot. There's a lot of communication, and also when they have issues, they kind of like just fight it out with words. So you'll find girls screaming at each other, talking about the things that are affecting them. It becomes a verbal, conflict, a verbal fight between them. But when it comes to boys, I think they prefer more the physical, violent show of everything, so that they are able to share their conflict. So among boys, I think we have a lot of fighting, a lot of, I don't know, is it called silent treatment or cold shoulder or something like that, whereby, you're just fighting and you can actually see the physical aspect of the fighting. And then something else is that when it comes to girls, they'd rather share the emotions out. So you'll find that even if a girl cannot talk to the person who they're in conflict with, they usually find a third party, somebody they can trust, and they go confide their issues in them. And then, they're able to, get that sort of relief from talking about their issues with someone else. So mostly you find that another friend or a trusted adult, and they're likely even to bring in the third party, to come and mediate in that problem, so that they're able to find a solution. And some of them, they even, cut off that other person, and, life goes on. But when it comes to the boy child, projection. They'll not talk about that issue with the person who hurt them or any other person. And since that emotion is really, pressing them down, they're going to do things that nobody actually thought they were possible to be done. So what are we talking about? You find your boy is going into drugs, sexual, in fact I can say over-sexual activities. Now they're dating multiple women. Now they're breaking multiple women's hearts, especially if they were in conflict with a woman. So now they're projecting on other women. They're acting out. They're doing stuff that you never thought it was possible. Some of them even go to the extent of exhibiting murder, not to the person who has wronged them, but in other ways. So what are we talking about? You'll find your child, for example, dismantling a doll in the house. So you have this nice teddy bear that you love and you keep maybe on your couch. You find that the boy just goes and dismantles it completely. So I think in their mind they are trying to recreate that emotion of murdering that other person. In fact, I remember at one time I had a boss who was Chinese, a man, and he was giving us a story of a person who was Japanese. You know, I think there's a history between the Chinese and the Japanese. So this Japanese man was wronged by a Chinese man, and what he did is he went and bought a puppy, a nice little innocent white chihuahua, and then he nurtured that puppy up to a certain stage, and then he actually murdered the puppy.
Wow.
He had named the puppy after this Chinese man. So he goes and murders the puppy, and he said that by doing that he now feels, you know, relieved that he has solved the conflict. So you
that's
find
so
such
sad.
kind of, you know, behavior. It is actually projecting, but in real sense, they're just trying to say that the emotion that they underwent in the past, you know, hurt them, and they have no way of, you know, resolving it, talking about it, and you know, trying to go through it, to deal with it. Yeah, so they have that issue. That there's that issue, that difference in conflict resolution. Yeah.
And from research, if you check out on statistics, I think the way our boys are brought up and our girls, especially in terms of handling emotions, it is depicted in adult life.
Yeah.
That is why men die at a very early age as compared to women, because for women it is all verbal. They do not want to hold anything back. They share and all that. But for the men, because of, you know, just being less emotional and doing it the way you've said, projection and all that, it makes them die at a very, very young age.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the other difference comes in the numbers. When you look at women, and we are talking about teens here, their friendship goes in larger groups. So you find maybe a group of 5, 6, 7, and when you come to boys, sometimes the intimacy or the friendship is just 2 people, 3, and the number does not really go up a lot. So the girls, even in school, sometimes you find that if they are on punishment because of similar mistakes, there'll be a kind of group of girls. And if they go for those parties and sleepovers, it's a group of girls who have called each other, they have formed a WhatsApp. So it's hard enough to find a girl alone. They'll have friends and a large number, while boys will just be 1 or 2.
And that number provides a support, like a support system for the girl.
Yeah.
So you find that whenever they're going through something, the whole group is going through that thing. So that means that the girl is now, you know, comforted. The girl feels like, you know, she's being supported, she's being heard. You know, there was this funny story of a girl who had cheated on the boyfriend, and the boyfriend had actually broken up with her. So she goes to this group of girls to ask for, you know, support and everything. And the girls are like, don't worry, you cheated on him, but it was not your fault. It was actually his fault. You know, he was too tall for you, and you know, things like that. So the girl feels, you know, more supported, and the emotion is like, you know, shared among them. So it doesn't come, you know, pressing down on one individual, you know, so much. It's like the weight is shared among the group. Yeah. So there's that when it comes to numbers.
Wow. So this is quite an interesting discussion. So I hope our viewers, you're learning a lot. Would love to hear your comments, give us your feedback and all that. So it is an interesting conversation, and to you, dear parents, it is high time you learn something about your teen daughter or son, so that you understand how they align, especially towards friendship. So I wanted to ask our expert here, though it is maybe out of topic, do you support sleepovers?
Totally. I support sleepovers because they are good. I think they provide that opportunity for connection between people, especially girls. You find girls talking about everything. They can demystify any myth that they have learned. You know, they get to share, and you know, by sharing, they get to know what is true, what is false, what can work, what cannot work, and things like that. And therefore, in those sleepovers, they're able to learn. And then again, it helps them to build, you know, a strong foundation for relationships in the future, because now you are inviting somebody into your space. You're sharing your bed, you're sharing maybe a meal, you're doing some activities together, and you get to connect, and you're able to invite people into your space. But I can say that is good, especially for girls, because they're able to share, to be intimate. But when it comes to boys, they just come there to play a video game, or I don't know. They don't talk. Actually,
They don't talk.
It's like a toxic connection between two people who are trying to, just kill time together. And in most cases, when they're doing that, you find that they're getting together for, I can say, crimes or antisocial behavior, smoking, gang rapes, and all that. So I think for boys, for all of them, it is more effective when the parent is actually aware of the activities that are taking place. You can even monitor them, but don't choke them so much, don't get into their personal space, but just monitor, know what is going on, what they are talking about, and things like that. So that's when it becomes now safer for them all.
Okay, and to our another expert, what is your take on sleepover?
Sleepover, it's something I wouldn't really support a lot, because I'm looking at the current society and whatever is happening. Most times when these girls decide to have the sleepover or the parties, they have an intention already. So if we do not know the intention, and they are the ones who know, maybe they want to experiment on a relationship, some of them getting into the funny relationships like lesbianism, some of them may be wanting to do what they could not do away from each other. I would expect that maybe they can get together just during the day, have all that, but the sleepovers, I'm a bit hesitant about them, because the results, I believe, would not be quite positive.
Sure.
Yeah.
I also feel like sleepovers, it is either you monitor them, and I think I once watched a preacher talking about sleepover, and as a parent, that is my own opinion, so everyone has their own opinion. If you really want your teenager to go out for a sleepover, then you should accompany them. Yes, accompany them, because there are so many things that are behind the scene. So that is my my own personal opinion. As a paranoid parent, that is what I would do.
Okay, as a paranoid parent, this is what you should do, and this is a very expert and informed opinion. I want you to form a group of parents who share the same belief system as you. So if you are allowing your child to go on a sleepover, they go over to a parent who will actually, uphold the values that you want to uphold for your child. So don't just let your child go anywhere. But with this, you know that this parent will not maybe condone alcoholism and drug abuse. They will not condone maybe funny sexual behaviors and things like that. So that you people are actually supporting each other. At the end of the day, as a parent, you also need time to yourself. And this sleepover is going to give you that, small time to just, sit with yourself and, reorganize yourself in this journey of parenting. So having someone who has a similar belief system as you actually really helps, because you know that even if they're going there, this parent is not going to allow this and this to happen. And when they come to your place, same thing. So don't just leave your child to go out into the wind, but actually investigate the families and in which they are going to spend the nights in. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Okay, so that is food for thought. So if you are a paranoid parent like myself, what do you think about that comment? Is it something that is practical? Wow.
It actually is. It actually is, and it really helps. And not only in parenting, in everything. In everything, because all the time, starting from the time your child is a toddler, by the time they begin to learn, how to relate with others, how to play, how to go out, they're going to be meeting people. And these people, it is good to have them in your control rather than out of control. So you find that at a very small age, even before a child goes to school, or even before a child knows what a sleepover is, they're already connecting with people. So what do you know about these people that your child is connecting with? Just start from the time your child will sneak out of the house, or just walk out and go to a neighbor's house towards television. What is that neighbor, putting on their television? you could have actually have stopped your child so much from listening to something like, let's say, secular music, for example. You know, all this music where people dance and they are,
Yeah.
half dressed, half to be very modest, half dressed. So you find that, do you actually want your child to be exposed to that? You might have really stopped it in your house, but when they go to a neighbor's house, and do they have the same, value system? They might actually be doing drugs. I believe you saw this video the other day where a parent was taking, I think it was cocaine, and then they were leaking it, and then they were giving it to their children to do the same. I don't know whether you saw the video, it was trending somewhere. So something like that. Is your child going to a house like that? Because if they go there, they are definitely going to be exposed to that. What is the belief on, let's say, Christianity and religion and everything else? So because so many things are out of your control when your child leaves your presence, it is good to have, a group of people who actually know and believe in the same things that you believe in, so that at least your child is, protected. It is just the same thing as taking your child to school. You will take your child to a school that, at least upholds a certain value system. You'll take your child to a church that at least, things like that. So that's what I'm saying in short. Just have a system that will support you in your presence and also in your absence when it comes to your child and them leaving your presence at a certain point.
Wow, so thank you for that. I hope you learn a lot from our video. Thank you and goodbye from us. Bye.
Goodbye. See you in the next episode.